Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Ernst Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. On Saturday, coming up in college basketball, we've got some insane matchups, including Houston versus Kansas, Tennessee versus Kentucky, and it always delivers the North Carolina Tar Heels and the Duke Blue Devils. But an early appetizer on Thursday night in college basketball, we've got a solid Big Ten matchup to go over with the Wisconsin Badgers traveling on the road to the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I'm going to preview and predict who I believe will win this Big Ten battle, so let's get into it. Wisconsin is number 6 in the nation right now in college basketball. Who would have thought that in the preseason after Wisconsin missed the NCAA tournament last year? They made the NIT, but Greg Gard, he's done a great job in the offseason. He added A.J. Storr, the St. John's transfer to the roster, and Wisconsin is rolling with the returners that they have, including Chucky Hepburn, Tyler Wall, Stephen Crow, and Max Klesmit. And then you got John Blackwell adding to the explosiveness in the offense along with A.J. Storr, like I already mentioned. This is a very dangerous team that is worthy of being in the top 10 right now. Will they be able to continue it down the stretch of the season? I don't know, but they're 8-1 in the Big Ten, 16-4 overall, and they're playing very impressive basketball, and they've also won their last 3 games, including a very dominant win over the Michigan State Spartans. They knocked off Minnesota on the road in a tight one, and they beat Indiana at home. So Wisconsin is playing very good basketball, and they got some big wins earlier in the season as well. But the Nebraska Cornhuskers, they've actually been a slightly surprising team this year in the Big Ten themselves, because Nebraska normally has been one of the worst teams in the Big Ten the last few years. Fred Hoiberg, he was tasked to fix the Nebraska team and improve them from the 10 miles era where they just could not get over the hump, and they were consistently a mediocre to below average team in the Big Ten. And so far in the Fred Hoiberg era, it hadn't been that great until this season. And they showed some signs last year, but they've improved upon it this year. And right now they're 15-6, and they're 5-5 in the Big Ten. And they are in the NCAA tournament field right now as a 10 seed according to the bracket matrix, which combines all of the bracketologist projections together and puts it into an aggregate. Nebraska is still in the field, even though they have been trending in the wrong direction, though. As you can see, some of the latest brackets have them as an 11 seed, which is lower than the 10 seed aggregate has them right now. Obviously, Wisconsin is doing very well as a 2 seed, and in the net, Wisconsin is at number 11, while Nebraska is all the way down at number 59, which a few weeks ago they were in the 40s. So Nebraska is dropping fast. They are starting to struggle a little bit in their last few games. As you can see, they've lost 3 of their last 5 games, but to Nebraska's credit, all 5 of those losses were on the road at Maryland, at Rutgers, and at Iowa. They were able to knock off Northwestern and Ohio State at home. And earlier in the year, they knocked off Purdue at home. Nebraska has done a great job on their home floor. They've got a really solid and underrated home environment in college basketball. So this is going to be no slouch for the Badgers. They cannot just take Nebraska for granted and say, well, they're slipping lately. They're not playing as well. We should easily be able to win, because Nebraska has good players. Keisei Tominaga is, for some college basketball fans, one of their favorite players. He's averaging 14 points per game, but the energy he brings at such a short size and his three-point shooting ability, he has a lightning fast stroke. It is very fun to watch, and they've added solid players around him like Bryce Williams, the Charlotte transfer, who's averaging 13 points in his own right. C.J. Wilcher's a returning player averaging 9 points per game. Jawan Gary, the Alabama transfer, is averaging 12 points. He's been banged up some, and he hasn't been in the lineup as much recently, which I think has hurt the Nebraska Cornhuskers lately. Rank Mast is playing well with 13 points per game. So Nebraska, while they do not have as many good players as Wisconsin, as you can see, the Badgers have so many good players. A.J. Storr averaging 16 points, Stephen Crow 12, Tyler Wall 12, Max Klesmit 10, John Blackwell 8, and Chucky Hepburg 8 as well. Nebraska definitely can hang with some of the better teams in the Big Ten because they have a fairly balanced roster and a bunch of guys that do play hard for Fred Hoiberg. So who do I think is going to win this game? If Nebraska was playing the way that they were earlier in the season, it would be a no-brainer for me to pick Nebraska because they have been knocking off really good teams. Like I said, they knocked off Purdue, which they were one of the only teams to do that this season. season. The FPI predictor says Wisconsin is favored with a 66% chance to win to Nebraska's 34%, which I don't blame them there because Wisconsin's playing so well. But Wisconsin, they're almost playing too well. And sometimes when you're playing very well, it is time for a slip up and you can fall on the road. And Nebraska has won their last 2 home games that they played. They've lost on the road, but I just don't like the way Nebraska has been playing lately overall. With that last loss at Maryland, 73-51, they looked lifeless in that game. Maybe they'll turn back around and play 110% better against the Wisconsin Badgers because of the fact that they're going to be upset that they lost the way that they did. And they want to stay on the right track because Keisei Tominaga, I know he wants to make the NCAA tournament. He hasn't been playing so hard for the Nebraska Cornhuskers this season to let it slip. But I do believe Nebraska is in a bit of a funk right now. I think they're going to play very well in this game, but I'm just very confident in the Wisconsin Badgers right now. They're playing too well. You can argue they're playing the best basketball of any team in the Big Ten right now, even over Purdue, even though that is very close because Purdue's playing well, but Wisconsin's been that good this season. I don't know how far Wisconsin's going to be able to go in the NCAA tournament this season, but the way they're playing in the Big Ten right now, it gives me the confidence to pick Wisconsin 71-67 over the Nebraska Cornhuskers for Wisconsin to go on the road in Lincoln, Nebraska and get a very tough win in a tough environment. I think Nebraska's going to keep this game close, and they will have several shots down the stretch to win the game, but I do believe that Wisconsin will make a play or two down the stretch to put them ahead, and if Nebraska has to foul Wisconsin, the Badgers will knock down their free throws because they are a great free throw shooting team, and I think that will prove to be the difference down the stretch in this game for Wisconsin to squeak out a close road win at a tough environment in Nebraska. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about whether you think that the top 10 ranked Wisconsin Badgers will go on the road and knock off the Nebraska Cornhuskers like I do believe that they will, or whether you think that Nebraska, being the slight underdog that they are and a little bit of a skid right now, do you think Fred Hoiberg's squad, who is very capable of knocking down the three-point shot on their own floor, will they be able to get out of their funk and knock off the top 10 ranked Wisconsin Badgers for Nebraska to get their second biggest win of the season and to help out their NCAA tournament chances? Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.